Alright, let's talk about floats. So CSS floats are great for creating simple layouts in your web page. Like the original idea behind floats was to create a newspaper type layout where the image is over here to the left and then you have the text flowing around the image over here. So for something like that where you just need to float an image to the left of some text, that is a great use for floats. But the problem comes whenever you use floats to create all these complicated layouts right here. So let's just create a simple float layout right here. Let's create a container div and a couple of divs inside here with some lorem ipsum text. And let's just style this right here. Let's say the first child in here is going to be floated to the left. And let's say the width is going to be, let's say 25%. And then as you can see, yeah, we have a column right here to the left and then the rest over here. So that works pretty well, but the problem comes whenever you start trying to make it more complicated. Let's say we want to have even more of these right here. Let's say we have 3 different sections, and as you can see, it quickly becomes a mess. So if you actually want to make these work, maybe for more complex things like a grid system or a menu bar, then you have to put in all this boilerplate just to make everything work. You have to clear your float so you don't have this problem right here. And if you want margins, then that's even more of a problem. You have to do this weird math where you're not actually doing 25%, you're doing 23.8. And this is only if you specifically want 1.6% margins. If you want something else, then it requires even more math. And every time you want to change the margins, yeah, you have to recalculate this all over again. But 10 years ago, this is what you had to do because we didn't really have any good solutions in CSS to lay things out. So it was basically you use this, or before this we were even doing things with tables, if you can believe that. I remember laying out my first site with a big table, and it worked. But there's much better ways to do this now. So we don't need all this code. We don't need to clear all these floats to make this layout work. What we can do is use something called Flexbox now. So Flexbox is just one tool that you can use to create layouts. There's other ones, but this is probably the simplest to learn. So let's create a new container with, let's say, 3 divs in here with some lorem ipsum. And instead of using this right here, here's how we're going to do this. So we're going to set the container to display as flex, or a flexible box. I didn't name this thing, okay? This is just what it's called. So you do that, and then all of the divs inside that, are going to want to be flex set to 1. And so basically this is saying set all these to be equal size inside this container. And now as you can see, we have 3 columns right here, and that works great. Let's say that you want one to be a little bit bigger than the other. That's also very easy. So we can say set the first child to be, and this flex is set by proportion. So let's say we want the first child to take up 3 times the space of the other ones, and now this one is taking up 3 times the space of the other ones, and the other ones will resize to make room for the other one. So obviously you can do more complicated layouts than that, but that is a very simple and easy way to create some columns with Flexbox. For margins, it's also very easy. Let's say we want margin right to be 40 pixels for all these. And then let's just say, so we don't have a margin on the end of it, let's say the last child, margin right 0. So again, now we have gaps between all of these, and all of these are going to be the exact same width. Flexbox calculates all that for you, and you don't have to do all this weird percentage math that you would have to 10 years ago when we didn't have Flexbox. And now Flexbox is pretty ubiquitous. I mean, this will even work in Internet Explorer 11. If you really need to support a site from way back then, this is not some bleeding edge technology that's going to break all of your websites and your client is going to complain, why is this working in my old version of Microsoft Edge? So this is going to work fine. You don't need to worry about that. And for responsive layouts, it's also very easy. So let's say for smaller screens, say max width 768 pixels, and we can just display the container as a normal block element. So instead of using Flexbox, we can just make this to be a block element at smaller size. And now whenever we make this smaller, now you kind of can't see it right now because there's no margin. Let's say margin bottom is equal to 40 pixels as well. Now, as you can see, it just stacks them on smaller screen sizes. So you can easily create a responsive layout this way. Obviously, it goes back to this whenever you exit. And of course, you can create as many of these as you want, and you're not going to run into the problems you would with something like floats. So I can make multiple different sections and they all work without some clearfix hack. That's the problem with floats. You have to use all these weird hacks and things, and it feels really cobbled together to make it all work. That's because they were never really designed for layouts. But Flexbox was built from the ground up to make layouts like this. So I probably use Flexbox for 90% of the use cases. There's more things that you can learn like CSS grid, but honestly you're going to be using Flexbox most of the time. And once you learn this and get good at it, then you're never really going to be using floats again. I haven't touched floats for a long time. Maybe if you wanted to use it for the intended purpose, like floating an image around some text. But yeah, I can't remember the last time I've actually used a float. So yeah, if you want to learn more about Flexbox, I have a whole video teaching you everything that you need to know about it. It's like 10 minutes long. That's how long it takes to learn it. So there's really no reason not to use Flexbox these days, in my opinion. And I'm just happy to never have to go to this website again to create a grid, because this was really annoying, copy and pasting this into every single project. I still remember the days.